NRL's BJ on game day back again for another week as always. As usual, you're joined by Bogan. How are we, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, good. Good. Um, can't say that about Supercoach, but everything else seems to be going along all right.
Well, that's all right, mate. That's all right. At the end of the day, if things are going well outside of Supercoach, and that's the biggest thing you got to worry about, your life can't be going too bad then, mate. So that's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
Mate, round,
could be worse. We're not on lockdown or anything like that, like half the rest of the country. So
that's it, mate. That's it. Yet, anyway,
we
we'll
can,
see
we
what
can
happens.
still go outside. You wouldn't fucking want to though here.
Nah, it's a bit chilly at the moment, isn't it?
That's probably why they don't have us on lockdown, because you're a fucking madman if you're going outside at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly here at the moment. I think we've got a few minuses coming up next few days. Few cold nights here in the nation's capital, but yeah, we've come to expect that. Evening, everyone in the chat. Benny, Ados, how are we, boys? Anyone? I think the regulars will be in there. Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Back again for another week. Looking at round 18 review. Bogues looking ahead to round 19, and it was a pretty big weekend of Supercoach. There was some monster scores. Just some absolute monsters. Another really big week out in Supercoach land. I didn't contribute to any of that monster scoring. I scored a
No,
12.33.
but spoiler alert: we do have a return to form of one Kane Anderson. I did notice as I was doing the graphics this evening. So big score by Dr. K Ando.
Look, I think a few of the boys are doing pretty well at this point of the year. You got Benny, Ados, Kandos making a bit of a run in there as well. So, and then even a few of the guys in the chat, Damo in there and that. So, yeah, look, there was some big scores. Again, I didn't get any of it. I had a 12.33. I think, just the story that I've been saying for the last few weeks. Not owning Nico Hines just is absolute torture. It seemed to just be every guy I didn't have went big. It was, Maddo, CHN, Schuster made a really successful return. I just, not happening this year. So I dropped 1,000 spots, still just inside the top 12K. It's just shambolic. But anyway, onwards and upwards, another new week, Bogues. Get back on the horse, mate. What about you? Want to tell everyone what happened or not?
Mate, par for the course. Par for the course, 1,200. Like, fuck. 1,200.
Look,
If I was averaging 1,200 the past couple of years, I'd be up there. But this year, 1,200 is shit. So,
yeah, it's funny, right? Like, I'm scoring pretty much an average of 1,200, and it's just no good. So crazy year of Supercoach.
yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is.
Mate, you know how it is. Only one trade left, so won't be doing any trades this week. I got to keep that in my back pocket in case there's injuries.
Well, and there have been a couple pretty big ones.
I'm just here to see out the show, mate, for the year. I'm not in contention for anything, I don't think.
Well, yeah, me either, but we'll see it out together. A couple big injuries coming the other weekend. Obviously, Tohu probably most notably. Has now been confirmed today that he's actually done the ACL, so he'll be gone for the rest of the season. Old Tohu. Pardon me, just about to sneeze. I think I brought Tohu in 2 weeks ago for the bye round, and he did his shoulder the week, I think, of the bye. Missed the next week, and now he's done his ACL. I think there were a few people in the same boat, and he's dropped a little bit of cash in the process. And I think it was on Sunday. Once I heard Tohu was in, I swapped my reserve from Matty Lodge, who ended up scoring 119, to Tohu, who ended up getting injured and scoring 6. So, yeah, it just sort of sums up. I don't think Matt Lodge will score another ton ever again in his Supercoach career. And, Anyway, onwards and upwards. We look back on what was round 18, Bogues.
Yep.
And the first game of the week, it was Para just getting it done comfortably over the Titans, 26-8. It was all Maddo. It was just Maddo. He's just come out of nowhere, had a blinder of a game, 135 points.
Showing some old form there.
Yeah, and it was just sort of like in every team I played on the weekend in head-to-head, 10 head-to-head leagues, I swear every fucker had him. So, That was massive and obviously a cracking way to start the week for anyone that had Matto. Gutho was good again. Nathan Brown, 100. Reed Marnie returned very nicely. We talked about Reed Marnie last week. I think in that hooker position that's been a bit bare, he was looking like a good pickup. And yeah, he's just so dynamic out of dummy half. With the ball's close to the line, but he's also sniffs around and gets the odd line break and that sort of thing. So, yeah, he looked really good. IPAP was pretty disappointing. 54, nothing special from IPAP, but a few other boys around the place got the job done. On the Titans side of the field, it was B. Kelly, top scorer with 99, so that's nice. I don't know, he probably wouldn't be hugely owned, but he was scoring everything. And yeah, D. Fifi got some real junk. He got a bit of a junk try and then nearly got another junk try right on full time, but they took it off him, so he probably might have turned up had they gave that try. But he also had a long spell. I don't know if he got hooked or what was doing, but yeah, he got hooked, and it was bizarre. So everyone was sort of expecting him to come back fresh. He had the week off, didn't play Origin, but I'm not entirely sure if there was a twinge or something like that, but. Anyway, it was sort of a bit of an anomaly there. I'm not sure what was doing. Mofo and Tino backed up. They were pretty good on the park. There's just awesome footy players. Those boys to watch are so physical. Just a couple of big boys that get around. But, anyway, that was Power got the job done. So, Benny will be happy about that one.
Yeah,
What's he saying?
Fuck the Titans.
He is a gun, Brent. How don't you have him? Who don't I have? I fucking don't have everyone that's going well this season, Benny.
Matto. I'm guessing he's a
I don't know.
But anyway.
Next one was the Turbo-less and DCE-less, as it turned out. Seagulls getting the job done over the Dragons. It was the return of Schuster, so 96 from Schuster. He was very good on return and a massive payoff. Obviously, anyone that held tight with Schuster would have been nice to have him for that round 17 bye, but I think he's paid owners back a little bit with that 96, so a really nice score there. Olakamatu, I didn't say that right, but we all know he just looks like a really awesome young back rower. I don't know what's doing him with Sirenen out there on the edge now, but he looks like he's sort of made a home for himself out there on the right, and that's sort of, I think he's played his way into that jersey and sort of earned it. I think he looks really good. HO. Ruben Garrick, 78. I agree. I think Kando mentioned at one point throughout the weekend he didn't look like he did much, but I suppose he kicked a few goals and a 78. You'll take that. Dragon side of the field, Jackie Bird was the top scorer. And I thought early at one point, I thought the Dragons were going to get this one, but the Eagles ended up going on with it pretty comfortably. I had Benny Hunt. That was pretty ordinary. I was expecting him to have an all right game, but not much doing there. I think, Bird and Hunt are probably the only really classic relevant guys in that Dragons side at this point. And Jason Saab, shout out to Jason Saab with an 11 there. He's just proving everyone that if Turbo's not playing, just don't play Saab. Doesn't matter who they're playing. On the Saturday, it was the Roosters who, they got it done in the end, but it wasn't convincing again. They weren't convincing against the Dogs the week before, and I think there was only 6 points in this one, with a little bit to go, but they got the job done in the end. A late try sort of made it look a bit more flattering than it was. Ikavalu top scored with 123. Sammy Walker 120. Well, the halves there for the Chooks, 120, 119 respectively for Sammy and Hutchinson. Joey Manu at fullback scored the 89. Crichton 79. So some good scores there for some of the Chooks players. Like pretty solid, I guess, across the board. A few 70s in there for Tupanua and Radley. Cow's side of the field, the Hammer, top score with 98, Reece Robson 96, Lolo 72. So, the Chooks don't, they've really struggled the last couple of weeks. I think they're nowhere at the moment. They've got a couple of good matchups coming up, but they really haven't been convincing, to be honest. And I think they're probably I'll be interested to see when they come up against a good side like Newcastle this week. They'll probably struggle, you'll see. Just kidding. I agree. Shieldsy, no ball for Tupu. Dead set. He's still managing to pump out about 50 out on the wing, but bloody Hutchison's got nothing. Need that lollipop ball from Walker out to him to find him. Teddy back this week, though. The next game on the Saturday was Hados's Raiders getting the job done against Cronulla. I don't know. I probably didn't expect this one out of Cronulla, to be honest, but they were really good. I think they let in a few tries, but it was just another. It was like it sort of reminded me of the Raiders we used to seeing probably last year a little bit. It was just a good win for them, and I think they really needed it. CHN was huge, obviously 124 there, and plenty of people had CHN off the back of the round 17 buys. So that was another guy that I didn't have that was just killer. But plenty of people did have him. Xavier Savage obviously had his best game of his short career to date. Has now, I think, been ruled out for the rest of the season with a shoulder issue, though, so that was a bit of a shame. But he was out there injured. He's a bit of a warrior, and he managed to score a try as well. He got a bit of a donation from Sebastian Chris as well, which was good. Hudson Young turned up as well. I think he's definitely the future out of one of those edges for the Raiders. I don't know why they wouldn't be playing, Young and CHN. I know Elliot Whitehead's there, but I don't know. I reckon they got to figure something else out because Hudson Young and CHN got to be the future edges for Canberra for sure moving forward. But yeah, Cronulla side of the field, Ramian top scored with the 68, so nothing special on that side. Yeah, pretty shithouse really. Noticeably, SJ with 17. That's been shit. I picked up Talakai went early. That's been really shit. He ended up getting sin bin late as well. But there's probably not too much relevance in the Cronulla side of the field in Classic, apart from probably Ramian, and there would have been a lot of people with SJ, which now the last 2 weeks it's a bit of a concern. Now he's got that contract with the Warriors. It's like he's sort of packed up a little bit. He's just working on the short kicking game. He's not really running the ball much. I don't know what's going on, whether he's just trying to preserve himself. But if the Sharkies are going to do anything to finish the year, they need SJ, taking the line on a bit more and getting a bit more involved. But he just hasn't been doing it the last couple of weeks, to be honest. And he's lost the goal kicking, which is also fucked, because that's an extra, 12, 16, whatever points, depending on how many they put on, and they do have a good draw to finish the year. So that could be quite considerable when you add it up by the end of the year. I'm not sure why he's not kicking, whether there's an issue with the quad or the hammy or something else, but that's pretty typical of SJ to have some sort of niggles, so they might just be managing him, and that might be an indication of why he has been a little bit standoffish in the last couple of weeks, perhaps. There was a rumour going around a couple of weeks ago that he might have missed the game last week, and he did end up playing, so maybe there's a bit of truth to that one, but purely speculative. Moving on, next one.
So this would explain why you don't have your Knights background this week, Breno?
Well, yeah, I don't know what happened there, but it was convenient, wasn't it? Look, it was a disgrace for Newcastle. 48-4. It was never a contest. Nico Hines, again, as I mentioned earlier, just fucking absolutely ruining my year. You think to have him, but so many people, either looped him or captained him. There was like heaps of people in leagues that I was looking at. And he's just been the guy every week. It's just like, okay, don't have Hines. He just needs to have a quiet week. And every week he fucking doesn't. He's just in some crazy form at the moment. From a Supercoach perspective, he's just got spiders on him. There's points everywhere. He's kicking goals. Olam and Munster, obviously, as well. 124, 115. Hughes got spelled and still scored 96. Holy dooly. It was just, I thought they were going to, I seriously thought they were going to put 80 on us. On the Newey side of the park, Barnett scored the 61. That was it. There was probably nothing really too impressive about that. One thing I will say, Ponga, obviously we talked about bringing in Ponga off the back of Origin, and this was a tough matchup, but he ended up failing at HIA, I believe, so he was hit by Kamika. There wasn't much in it, but at the end of the day, he was nudged off the ball, and as a result, got an HIA and ruled out of the game. On field, not even a penalty or anything. So, I mean, I thought that was a bit rubbish, but it wouldn't have made a difference to the end result. But that would have stung anyone that obviously brought Ponga in trying to get an early jump. But he's now going to be really cheap, and probably a high break even again this week. I haven't looked at his break even, but yeah, he might be. The Knights draw seems to improve, but fucking our footy's got to improve tenfold. Anyway, fucking skip that one. Um, Penrith Warriors, look, Penrith, it was a bit of a tussle for the most part of the game, but they got the job done in the end, running out 30-16. Top score, Matty Lodge, 116. I'm still absolutely sick. Chucked the R off him and put it on Tohu and made a 110-point difference. But, that's Supercoach. Reece Walsh with a 98. Amazing young football. I'll just keep on keeping on. And, I guess a few of those middle boys like Lodge, AFB, Tamanga, all benefited from Tohu obviously going out of the game early. And as we mentioned, an ACL there for Harris, so he will now miss the rest of the season. So if you've got Harris, you're probably going to look to trade him, but it's a bit of a ballser, given probably a lot of people just got on him as well. On the Penrith side of the park, it was fucking Vili Kikau, who I held for 4 to 6 weeks over one of the bye rounds, and he did absolutely sweet fuck all. And literally about 3 weeks ago, when it was Super Trade Week, I traded him out. And to see him come out and do what he did on the weekend just makes me want to absolutely vomit in my mouth. And it's just epitomises where Supercoach is for me this year. I mean, granted, he still only scored 95, but fuck me, Dad. Really kick out. You fucking scored more points this week than you scored over the 4 to 6 week period I had you like about a month ago. Tyrone May, 89, Broughton Toto, backed up with an 88, just an absolute beast. He's just an absolute weapon. Toto. He's been one of the only good things that I've started the season with was Brian, so that was good. Charlie Staines, the Forbes Ferrari, scored a double and still only managed 68. And I think I've heard JFH, which I don't know how many people have him, but it's quite interesting in terms of the Penrith side. He had a bit of an awkward injury at the end of the game. Kickout fell on him in a tackle on his neck, and his knee got twisted. He ended up walking off all right, and he should be all good to play this week. But he'll now miss the next 2 weeks after that for the birth of his baby. He's going to break the bubble, and then so I don't know when they'll get him back. But there's also been some talk about TPJ, Tavita Pangai Jr. signing with the Panthers to finish the rest of the year, which would be quite interesting. And I don't know if potentially some of this, with what's happening with JFH, if you consider he'll have to quarantine for a couple of weeks if he wants to come back in, or whatever. I don't know how that all works, but at the moment they're sort of saying it's not happening, but there's plenty of rumour at the moment saying it is, so we'll have to see what happens there. Shout out, lads. It's a fucking killer, doesn't it? Bloody, Ikavalu is probably similar. It makes you absolutely sick. Like I said, it's a great game when things are going well for you, but it can be an absolute... I
wouldn't fucking know.
But it's an absolute prick of a game when it doesn't. So anyway, you ride it when you're on it for sure. Look, Penrith got it done in the end, and they'll be pretty keen to get Luai and Cleary back. I know I was talking to Shano earlier, and he's pretty over as Tyrone May and Burton in the halves because they're just not, it's not the same as having Luai and Cleary there, obviously. The next one was the Broncos and the Tigers, and it was actually a close game. I did watch a bit of this one on Sunday.
I'll tell you what, mate, you picked it like a fucking broken nose with Dewey.
Yes, like I said, my whole season's been pretty much fucked bar a couple of things, but I did bring in Dewey this week, so that was nice. Tore him apart, it was pretty good. 154 from Dewey, so he was really right, pretty cheap. And I liked the Tigers' run, so that was nice. It didn't really fucking make a difference. I'm glad he scored 150, otherwise I probably would have struggled to crack 1,000 this week. Laurie turned up as well. Yutoka Manu with a try, scored a 91. Nofo finally getting some points as well, just held tight on Nofo, and I think a lot of people looked at bringing him in because the Tigers had a nice run and he was only like 380k. On the Broncos side of the park, Payne Haas does it again, another try assist. He set Fledgler up. So a little bit inflated again, but he's so busy when he's out there, the big man. And if they were to lose TPJ, if the rumours are true, it's just, who else have they got, really? There's just no one. He's going to be the one. I'd have to have a look at how many minutes he played on the weekend, but he's just a beast. He gets out there and he's so hard to tackle. And for a big man, he's just got such a good motor. He's still relatively cheap. I figure Haas to Tohu to Haas should be a popular trade via Jules this week. Pretty similar in price point. A little bit of an upgrade from Tohu, about 40k if you got it in the bank. But he's pretty much playing 65 minutes. And he's pretty much a point per minute in base generally. And if he's gonna, he looks really dangerous at the moment. So I couldn't criticise anyone for getting on Haas, and he's doing really well in the front row where it's been a bit dodgy for the last little while, folks. Let's do any. What else? Stags 50, nothing too special, but yeah, that'll probably do it, Bogues. Pretty sweet, mate.
Yep.
And to finish it off, it was the Rabbitohs getting the job done against the Dogs, Bogues. It was not what we probably all expected. I chucked the C on Cody Walker, as you did there, as we can see from the graphic. I thought he would have updated a little bit too with the little wraparound off Gagai. I thought he might have updated to the ton by the time updates came around, but I don't know if he ended up getting that wraparound, if he got the try assist for that. Guys in the chat, let me know. I just expected he was going to go up by about 30 points, so based on what he finished on, but he didn't. Ken Murray top scored. He ended up scoring a try playing out in the centres. He ended up playing 80 minutes, which I had a draft matchup that was Murray versus bloody Josh Jackson going into the game, and whoever scored the most would win that head-to-head, and fucking Murray scored that try, which probably cost me in the end. But the big one out of this is Alex Johnson, a hamstring issue, a couple of weeks it looks like. So unlike Tohu, I imagine you should be able to sit on AJ. I assume you'd have a little bit of depth in your centre wings, but yeah, I've got a bit of depth there, which is nice while we're holding AJ personally. But he is very expensive. I think he's nearly 800k, 770 if I'm not mistaken. So I couldn't blame people for trading him, especially at this point of the year. If you've got Tohu and AJ there's some big money to bring in virtually whoever you want. So I couldn't be too critical, to be honest, and it's pretty crucial at this point of the year to probably not have big money like that just sitting on the bench. Tony Millen was good again, 58, but he has now lost his spot this week, which I thought was interesting. He's now lost the wing position, so Paulo and Mansour have now been named on the wings, which was intriguing. Ockenbaugh returned for the Dogs, first game for a while, top scored with a try, 68 there. But again, I wouldn't be looking at much in that dog side for Classic. So that is about it, Bogues. That was round 18. Quick one there, but that was what it was. Yeah, all right. Ados reckons you got jibbed hard too. I thought so. Looking at that, they missed that one. Is that the wraparound one where whoever it was scored in the corner? They must have given it to Gagai or something. I thought it was all Walker, but anyway, it is what it is. Round 19 team list, Bogues. Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
So first up, back to some Thursday night footy after the Origin period. We have Benny's Eels taking on Ados's Raiders, and there's changes galore. Mitchell Moses, it's been declared that he broke his back in Origin, so he'll be looking at 3 to 5 weeks. It sounds a bit more exaggerated than it actually is, but yeah, Mitch Moses. Did I say Michael Moses? I think I said Michael Moses, but Mitch Moses will miss the next 3 to 5 weeks due to the back issue he suffered in Origin 3. So Jake Arthur will roll into the 7 there, and that might be why there's been a rumour floating around about Milford possibly joining Parramatta for the rest of the year, which seemed a bit strange, but maybe it's a bit of contingency with Mitchell Moses with uncertainty around the back potentially. On that side of the park you got Opacek as well. So Will Penisini. Will Penisini. There's big raps on this kid. There's bigger raps as there is on Swali. This kid's got them as well. So he's going to get a start in the centre. I think he's naturally a centre. Benny, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, have a look at this kid. I don't think he's going to be classic relevant, obviously. Maybe in a draft, if you're looking for a centre wing, something random, you could maybe throw him in. But Will Penisini, get a good look at him this week. He's got enormous raps on him. That Parramatta pack looks real good. Marnie back there as always. Back again now makes them adds a different dynamic to the side. And if they're going to be any serious threat this year, they've got to get the job done against this Raiders side this week, who have been pretty underwhelming. Whiten is out, so Frawley's back in the halves there. It's Sammy Williams. Rapana goes back to fullback to cover for the injured Xavier Savage, who'll be gone for the rest of the year. So Valimi comes onto the wing with Smith Shields, I think, as well. I think Valimi played last week. Harley Smith Shields comes in on Rapana's wing now. But yeah, a few of the usual culprits, CHN. Papali was pretty quiet last week, but I expect him to sort of pick it up in the next couple of weeks now as well. What else is going on? Fergo's back as well, Bogues. Fergo is back on the wing, so Hayes Dunster's dropped out. Not sure what's doing, but Fergo is back. So I'd imagine he's probably in a few free agencies in drafts. You might chuck Fergo in there, but he's still got old Waka Blake, who couldn't pass COVID to his nan inside of him, so and Maddo as well. So it doesn't probably mean much that he's back, to be honest. Second game. Oh no, sorry. The first game on the Friday evening will be, oh, what a cracker! Absolute heavyweight clash. It'll be the Chooks taking on the Knights. Look, I don't know what to think about this one. Obviously, no Pearce backing up there. Kalen Ponga should back up. Fitzgibbon has been dropped, so Barnett's come in to start on the edge, which is good, and Connor Watson comes onto the starting 13, which is nice. If you've got Connor Watson, he might be a play this week. He could be playing some okay minutes, depending on what happens. Chook's side of the field, Tedesco's back. BMOS is out. Billy Smith's kept his spot with Joey Manu going back into the centres. Sammy Walker, probably a play this week. Satilli, Gus, all the usual culprits. Takyaho is back on deck as well, apparently. What's going on there? So he's in the interchange, but yeah, he's probably not relevant at this point of the year, just reading off this team list a little bit. But yeah, I'll be playing Sam Walker, I'll be playing Satilli. There's probably going to be some points out there. And like, the Roosters have been pretty shit, I reckon, the last couple of weeks, but they're still getting the job done. This will prove how shit Newcastle are going. Obviously, Melbourne are just pumping everyone. But last time I think we played the Roosters, they were down to 11 players and still scored a try against us. That was the game Brett Morris did his ACL, unfortunately, but I still remember it. It was disgusting. Anyway, that'll be a great way to ruin the start of my weekend. The second game on the Friday will be anyone that owns a Melbourne Storm player licking their lips. You've got Nico Hines named at fullback with Cooper Johns at 6. Interesting thing here, and most notably, is Paps has found his way in the 17. So he's there. Whether there's a late Swifty from Bellamy to chuck him back to fullback and Nico Hines probably to 6, I'm thinking that is what will happen personally. And you might see Cooper Johns come onto the bench, or a bit of a switch with Trent Laureo or something like that coming in for Johns. But Pappy is back, so anyone that's had him in drafts, and obviously in Classic, it's quite interesting because he was one of those guys people have been waiting to come back, and given the footy that Melbourne have been playing in the last few weeks, he's obviously a massive target. It's not rocket science. I think at the moment, just quickly, Bogues, I've bloody got nothing in front of me. He's still got like a 200 break even. So you obviously probably maybe prefer he come off the bench this week and played minimal minutes. I don't see it happening, just so you get a really big price drop before you look to pick him up. But it'll be, what's he at? I think he'll be one of the most brought-in players over the next couple of weeks. Old Paps, he's 815k. He's only 8% ownership and a 200 break even. So, he could possibly nearly score that if he actually gets named at fullback this week. So he could easily score 120, and he'll probably goal kick as well. So Hines then loses a little bit of that value he's had with the goal kicking, assuming that Paps takes that back, and it'll just be all about getting Paps into your side virtually. So Paps is back. That's massive. You've got, load up. Munster's obviously out, which sucks for Munster owners. But Nico Hines, Pat, you got Jerome Hughes. You might be looking at. I think everyone's probably going to VC Nico, but maybe a bit of a pod in VCing Jerome or a C on him or something like that would be a nice little move this week. On the Cowboys side of the park, probably shitbagging them a bit, but if it's not Lolo, it's probably no one else in that side. I don't even know who Kane Bradley is. Is he debuting this week? That bloke that's playing on the wing. It could be an absolute slaughter out there. Some bloke playing his first game against the Storm. What a debut! So if he comes on to, what's Felt? Felt plays on the right. So this bloke will be playing on the left, and that'll be Remius Smith and Dean Eremaya who will come on. So it could be Hughes. Maybe go down that right side a bit more with Hughes this week. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But anyway, maybe you could go Tohu to Lolo as a fourth or fifth back row option as well. I think that's a straight swap as well. Something you could look at, but yeah, it's probably a waste. I don't know if it's a waste of a trade, but Lolo's been not bad as well, Bogues. He's been pretty good the last couple of weeks, old Lolo. Just want to quickly check his minutes. 61 minutes, which is pretty much par for the last month. He's been playing sort of 55 to 60 basically. But 72 points on the weekend, 87 the week before with some attacking stats. But there's some good, I think, what do they call it, power stats in there as well. So he's obviously breaking a few tackles and that sort of thing. Old Lolo, so maybe that's a little sneaky trade for Tohu. Straight swap. Next up, it'll be the first game on the Saturday will be the Rabbits up against the Warriors. Latrell's back, so I made a boo-boo last week, Bogues. I had to go early and I brought in Dewey and Latrell, so I ended up copping an AE of Talakai because I went early on Latrell and then he got ruled out late. He was the only fucker that didn't back up from Origin in that whole Rabbit side. But he should be back, which would be good. I was licking my lips on him playing against the Dogs. I was actually going to chuck the C on him really late, so that just completely fucked me. I ended up just leaving it on Walker. But yes, so obviously no Tane Millen on the wings now. He's coming off the bench, which is interesting. So you got Mansour and Paulo now on the wings. But it could be a good game of footy. It'll be interesting to see. The Warriors were a little bit competitive last week. No Tohu, obviously. Curran comes into the 13 there. Jazz Tavana's sliding into hooker with Wade Egan still out. So, might be some good points out there for AFB and Matty Lodge again. As someone that owns both of those boys, Lodge is very playable at the moment. Cody Nicarima, I think people will be hoping he bounces back as well. He's been pretty quiet, but a bit of a tough matchup this one. So I'm expecting that one to be an interesting game of footy as well, folks. That should be a good one. If we get a nice dry track, both the teams can score some points, and should be an interesting one. Moving on, it will be 5:30 on the Saturday. Will be the Eagles taking on the Tigers, and Tommy Turbo should be back. So there'll be 1,000% of people throwing the C on him. I'd imagine you get a free look at some of the Melbourne boys or some of those Rabbit boys for a VC, whoever you got. Maybe some of the Chooks against the Knights. And a lot of people will probably have that C on Tommy. And there could be some points in this one because Tommy's just an absolute freak this year. So play Saab again, play Garrix, everyone that's got him. Cherry's back. Schuster's still in that edge, so, Schuster's real playable now as well. Jakey Trebojevic is back as well. So, yeah, obviously all those guys are really relevant now once again. But I'll be chucking the C on old Tommy T. Pretty boring, but I don't know, he's just got a crazy ceiling and just does it so effortlessly. Why would ya? Tigers side of the field. Look, I still think someone like Nofo is potentially playable. Obviously brought in Adam Dewey. I mean, the Eagles have been good with Tommy there, but I still think some of these Tigers players are playable. But yeah, they're definitely a different side, the Eagles, when Tommy's playing. Obviously, that's not rocket science. What else is doing? I thought Tukey Simpkins looked good. I think he debuted last week. I don't know if he debuted last week, Bogues, when he was running around. I thought, who's that kid? He's a bit of a unit. He's only like 19 years old, and he hits pretty hard and runs hard. He looked good on Tukey Simpkins. So yeah, that was nice. But yeah, otherwise I don't know. If you're not feeling the Tigers players this week, you might sit or start someone like Nofo or potentially Dewey. But I think Dewey at 6 is a completely different prospect. I thought Luciano was a good shout as well for a bit of a pod for the run home. But yeah, probably that's about it on that one. Manly will score 50. You reckon, Ados? Yeah, probably. I can't wait to see Manly come up against some of the better sides as well. With guys like Jakey Trebojevic, Schuster, Cherry, and Turbo back. They could make a bit of a run to finish the year. It will be the Panthers taking on Brisbane on the Saturday night, and Luai's back, so that's a big in. Tyrone May's held the 7, so Burton will be in the centres. I didn't expect that. I thought they would just pair up Burton and Luai, but maybe they're not happy with what Naden and Momorowski are offering in the centres. I just thought it was a no-brainer to chuck Burton in there in the halves and chuck Momorowski or Naden at centre, but it is what it is. I think Brisbane will get slaughtered in this one again. So Brian Toto could be like a captain option if you haven't already. I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to have put it past Turbo and Nico Hines and stuff if you already have those guys. But if you're looking for a bit of probably what will be a pod C, but probably a good option this week, chuck the C on Toto. Play all your Panthers players. Tessie New's been good for Brisbane at the back. He looks really good. I think he should probably be their fullback, to be honest. He's just real busy. He's got a really good work rate. Runs the ball back a lot. Just a pity he's in a shit side with a shit halves and pretty shit forward pack now. But Tony Staggs as well. They're just he gets in, but he still doesn't get as much ball as he should, considering the type of side they are. Coates isn't in the side either, which is interesting. So Sarko has come onto the wing, and given he's moving off to Melbourne, I don't know if we'll see Xavier Coates play for Brisbane again, which is interesting. Good enough to play Origin, but that was about it. Payne Haas, like I said, probably the only one worth writing home about in that Brisbane side, realistically. Maybe Tony Staggs if you want to pod, but not this week, not against Penrith. So, like I said, probably a couple pod options for captaincies this week if you've held back on Tommy and don't have some of those Melbourne players like myself. If you could be looking at the Panthers boys, don't worry, Shieldsy. I fucking had Luai. I bought Luai when he was 550k, and I traded him when he got injured a couple of weeks ago. So Luai will score 100 this week, 100%. I'll be absolutely fucking dark, and probably Kickout will score 3 off the back of him. Sunday, it will be an absolute blockbuster with the Dragons taking on the Titans. Huge game, this one. Cancel any plans you got, 150. Duffy's back for the Dragons, so they'll need him there. Norman's out serving his COVID suspension, so Jaden Sullivan will get first chance I think this season he'll be able to line up in the halves there, and I think he's an awesome young footy player. Even as shit as this game might look like on paper, there are probably two teams with some points in them at times, but Jaden Sullivan's an awesome young footy player, so if you do get to watch this one, keep an eye on young Jaden Sullivan. I think he's player of the future for sure. Just plays what's in front of him, really good to watch. Jackie Bird is in the back row, which is interesting. So they've gone Ramsey in the centres with Beale, and Jack Bird is playing in the back row. So, that could be a little sneaky pod. We've talked about Bird probably being, with Hunt, one of the only relevant guys in that Dragons side, but Bird in the back row is really interesting. On the Titan side of the park, Marzu comes in for Sammy. Sammy's gone for a while now. I don't know if it was the season with Sammy. I can't recall. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Benny will be happy. Marzu comes in. He was a pretty popular cheapie because there was people just bringing him in for the bye round, and then he didn't play, so he was a nice enough. But he's back, and he's a bit of a beast. So there could be some points out there for old Greggy, and a good matchup against the Dragons this week. You've got no Fogarty. I didn't hear what happened with Fogarty. I know he did his finger, and it looked like it was a compound fracture. I'm just having a quick look here. No, it doesn't say what happened with Fogarty on these team lists, but yeah. Toby Sexton comes in. Is it his debut? Is he debuting? Yes, so he'll make his debut this week as well, which is interesting. A few debutants around the place this week. Yeah, obviously Dave Fafita, pretty disappointing last week. Someone's got to get in and have a chat to him, whether it's Mal or Gordy. They got to get in because he's got to be the difference for them, even though they're absolutely shot. But yeah, might be some points in this one, and you know, it could be high scoring Supercoach points as well. Guys like Brimo, Brian Kelly, Corey Thompson, David Fafita potentially. Again, probably by this point, compound dislocation. All right. So any word on how long? Maybe with Fogarty guys. I just hadn't heard. I hadn't looked it up, but I hadn't heard. So compound dislocation. So he's dislocated the finger and it's broken the skin, but it didn't break, I guess. All right. That sounds disgusting. I know the blood was pissing out of his hand, but okay. So make sure the wound heals clean. Okay. Cheers, boys. I got him in like 3 of my draft teams, so it's absolutely left me fucked in a few of them. Yeah, that's about it from that one.
And then another ripper. What are some fucking ripper games this week, isn't there?
Sunday, make sure you don't have any plans on Sunday afternoon, because if the Dragons versus the Titans wasn't massive for you, the Dogs taking on the Sharks just put the icing on the cake for round 19. I don't even know what to say about the Dogs. You're not going to be bringing in anyone in their side
until 2022.
I mean, the 2022 side popped up just a couple of days ago, Bogue. So I think they're going to sign Tipper J for 3 years. They've got Burton going there. They've got Addo Carr.
Vaughan, possibly.
Yeah, I think I saw Gus saying Vaughan. You got Just Jackson there, Luke Thompson as well. I mean, if they could sign someone like the Cheese, who I know a few people don't rate him as a hooker, but I mean, he's dynamic out of there. But
I'll tell you what, if you're playing for the Bulldogs at the moment, you wouldn't be too sure about what you'll be doing next year. You might be looking for a job pushing wheelbarrows or something, because they're going to have to clean some out.
I'll tell you what, if Lachlan Lewis doesn't get a gig in the halves, did you see the little manoeuvre he pulled on Cody Walker on the weekend?
I was going to say, it's Lachlan Lewis to the WWE with moves like that.
What was doing there? It looked like there was nothing in it. Obviously, Cody's not one to shy away from a bit of a bit of a word or two, but
he told him to go back to reserve grade, which really isn't that much of a insult to warrant that reaction.
Well, it's probably a bit close to the truth, isn't it? But yeah, that was a nice little manoeuvre there from Lewis. So he might have a UFC career or possibly a WWE gig like Daniel Vidot did. Yeah, look, like a few of the boys are saying in the chat, RFM. I did forget about RFM, Clemmy for sure. Ockenbaugh as well. He's a good winger. So we rag him a bit, but at this point of the year, you're not looking at him. But maybe we'll have a look next year. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They're.
I'll tell you, is Ockenbaugh with them next year?
Yeah,
he should be. That's a backline and a half then, with that Carr joining.
Yeah, Ockenbaugh's a gun. He's really, really good. And we haven't been able to see. Obviously, he had the issue with the little muck around with CHN at the school there, and then he's been injured. But he's actually a really good footy player, and I think he'll have a really good career over the next couple of years if he can stay fit. It was a bit of a hit throw, Benny. On the Cronulla side of the park, you're going to be playing your Cronulla boys, obviously. Probably SJ. Fucking Talakai keeps getting named on the edge or getting added on the edge and plays like 30 minutes. So I'll probably fucking play him again this week just because I'm going to get baited because they're playing the Dogs. But they got Nakora on the bench. So actually, I'm not going to play him because it's just a stitch up. Jesse Ramian, obviously, I think one of the boys just said, Shieldsy said he brought in Katoa as a pod. That's ballsy. But you do like the Sharks run. Obviously, Shieldsy, we've talked about it. They've probably got the best run of any side. It's just they've got to actually do something with SJ. So, Yeah, not bad. Katoa, a bit of a pod, pretty cheap as well, and does have the ceiling, Chilsey, but he's definitely got the floor as well. So we'll see if SJ can just get his finger out of his ass. That's probably not too bad, but I'm a bit concerned SJ is carrying something with the way he's been playing, but hopefully he can get that sorted. But yeah, it'll finish off with the Sharks versus the Dogs. I'll be riding Rami and I'll probably be riding SJ, and I don't think I'll be playing Talakai, so Talakai will probably score a double and ton up. But yeah, that's probably it. That's going to be it for round 19, Bogues.
Alrighty. On to the leagues. So, the group weekly, it was Joel with a doggy style, got a 16.23. The DJC 13, Daniel, with a 15.46. The Dream Team, Dylan, got a 15.39, and he'd be loving that because he's one of our higher ones on the overall as well. As mentioned earlier, Dr. Kane Anderson, he's back. He's back in form with a 15.27. So watch out if you're up against Kando coming into the finals. And Calabrese FC, Luke, with 15.13, and that rounds out the top
Yeah,
five.
shout out, boys. You're all pretty ranked reasonably, like all 1250 plus averages. Obviously Dylan with the Dream Team up there. So yeah, massive scores and well done this week, boys. Good shit.
And that takes us to the overall. Smick Richards still top of the league there with 26. He got a 13.72 this week. Avalon Storm, Jason, got a 13.75 this week. He's sitting 144th overall. The Dream Team, Dylan, with his 15.39, he's sitting in 165th overall. James with Perpetual Motion, a 14.29 this week, sitting in 228th. And better than standout, Alex with a 14.77, sitting in 243rd. And Bundy there. Sitting in 6th. So good year for Bundy there.
Yeah, definitely Bundy having a PB year for sure, and he's doing really well as well. I think he's still got Cleary as well, which is interesting. I think Cleary may be back next week, which should be interesting if he wants to make a run for the Dally M. But yeah, well done, guys. All in the top 500 there, and absolutely massive averages. You got Smick up there with 1300. Absolutely huge, guys. Hope you all keep onwards and upwards. I thought Benny wouldn't have been far off of this. Benny, what happened? I didn't look at any of it in 2D. I guess we'll see him in a minute when we look at the leagues, but I thought Benny might have been on that image.
So first up, all in. Zach with a 15.06. Nightclub Incident, which is a great name, Marcus, with a 14.36. Agony of Defeat, he was one of our finalists in one of our leagues last year, I believe.
He was,
with 14.34. Close friend of the show, Clemmy, with Tex Toys, Sex Toys, 14.33. And another friend of the show, Taylor, with the Crazy Pineapples, with 14.02. Brent, are you getting nervous when you're seeing scores like that from...
I fucking got nervous when you brought that up because I thought it was overall points and she was 5th in the league. Fuck. I don't know. I've got a 1,200 average, so I reckon I'm as bad as I'm going. I reckon I'm easy.
There's still a few weeks left, Taylor, to get Brent to don that Marilyn Monroe outfit, and you gonna dye the beard blonde as well, or?
That would have really it wouldn't surprise me if she comes home and beats me. Yeah, the way things are going. Well, I'll run out of trades, and she's probably got about 27 trades left.
If she has more weeks like that, mate, you're in trouble.
For sure. Yeah, good shit.
The Invitational. As mentioned earlier, Kane Anderson back in form with 15.27, followed by Bundy with a 14.50. Benny with a 14.50 as well. So there you go. Scored exactly the same as Bundy.
Mm-hmm. Good shit, lads.
Mana, checkmate, with a 14.38. And Adrianosaurus himself, Adrian, with a 14.21.
Shout out to the regulars. Well done, you fuckers. He's having good years. He's going to all get fucked.
Yep, that's right. He's all fucked. You got to do what Adrian does and start your own show, and then we can just quit and watch you guys instead.
Yeah, fucking the way things are going.
Well, speaking of shit, we're on to the draft this week. We did.
I can't even fucking put shit on anyone about draft this week because fucking Benny, bloke doesn't even know how to fucking trade a player out, and he's beaten me this week. Fucking dead set.
So Benny got up over Brent Hampton.
And I think he was a player short, or he had an AA or something. For fuck's sake, Benny, you can fuck off, dude.
Mana with the absolute blinder there, getting up over Trent.
Oof.
Psycho Circus, Josh King just went down to Adrian.
Ados. Fuck. That's a tight one.
Kane Anderson went down to Tomo with Call Me Big Puppy, and me, having not looked at my team for weeks, got absolutely...
Oh, can I just call it out? Dead set. What's doing? Not looked at your team for weeks. The integrity of the competition is absolutely shot.
The integrity of the competition was shot when you rigged the draw at the start of the year. So
if you fucking play me this week, don't look at your team. But if you aren't and you don't play me...
I don't know who I'm playing. I haven't looked at my team.
Look, I think it's tight. I think that'll be the nail in the coffin for Kando, but I think it's very tight still. You got the ladder there?
We certainly do. It's Adro with Living to Vita Loca there. So that could have changed everything if Josh King had been able to get up there.
Well, my loss to Benny's been super crucial now because that's fucking... I'm out of the finals at the moment. Fucking hell.
Yeah. So Adro is in first, followed very, very closely by Call Me Big Puppy, Tomo. Mana is right on their heels with 20 points. Wayno is there with 18 points, followed up by Trent with scrambled legs, rounding out the top 5.
Well, I play scrambled legs this week, so that will be a big game. That will pretty much, if I lose that, that'll probably be the top 5 decided because that's our finals. Kando's probably out of it. I'd imagine Benny's still a chance. Benny taking on Joshy this week, so it'll be interesting.
Well, here's the thing. I might not have looked at my team, but I haven't deleted the app like Josh King. So Benny would have to consider himself a chance against Josh King this week.
Yeah, if I can just scrape in, I don't know, the team's not doing it. But anyway, lads, it's been a good tight league. It's been very close, so it should be good finish. 2 weeks to go, and some big head-to-heads this week. And you're going to fucking cop it again this week because you're playing Ados.
Oh, well, so. Whatever. Whatever, mate. I got a win in a cash league that I'm in, so I'll take that instead.
Good work.
Still in it with a chance just with that one, but probably not even in that one.
You got Paps back in that one. That's big.
Yeah. Benny said the beard has to be blonde if you lose to Taylor there, Breno. So
what about fucking Ados? She's come home with it. She has 8 trades. Fucking get away. Get out of it, Ados. Let her sort it out herself. We don't need to see any of this stuff.
Well, that means she can bring in Pappy this week.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's fucked. Anyway, I don't know how clear I am. I hope I'm far enough that I can just burn through my trades and it won't matter.
I've got none. I'm running without breaks now.
You're done? You've used them all?
Well, I didn't know that AJ was injured, so I've brought in Pappenhausen. He's a hold for the rest of the season. And that's it, mate. I am running without breaks now.
So I just need Pappy to absolutely just have a massive head collision with Nico Hines, and they both just get ruled out for the rest of the year. Maybe from next week, though, when everyone starts getting on Pappy.
In this modern era, Brent, is it appropriate to say that?
Well, yeah, whatever. When you come in 10,000 plus in Supercoach, just take it with a grain of salt.
Shout out to Adro once again. He's the Supercoach sensation with his show Adrianosaurus Rex, or Adrianosaurus what is it, Supercoach and Adrianosaurus on SoundCloud and Spotify.
Oh, we got to shout out. There's a lad in the Turbo Hammies Cup, Bogues. You wouldn't know about this, obviously, but there's a bloke, Tim Moody, who is on the Supercoach Experience podcast. A good couple of really good lads over there. Is coming first overall. He was ninth coming into the week and scored a 1725, I think, which was fifth for the round, and it's actually put him number one overall. So I doubt he'll be listening, but shout out to Tim Moody. He's a good fella. He's a funny bloke. And the Villy Army, hopefully if anyone's going to win, it'll be nice to see someone in the community that we know and contributing content and that sort of thing. So good luck, mate, for the run home.
Speaking of, Brent, I made a comment a couple of weeks ago about Tom Sangster ripping off your look, right? And ever since, he has been dressing like this, right? Oh, that's the wrong one. That was the previous one. He's ripping off your look. I made that comment.
Fucking, do I look like that? Fucking hell.
Well, no, you don't look like that. But Sangster is trying to harness his inner Brent Hampton, right? And I made that. Right. I made that comment. And for the past 2 weeks, he's come out looking like this, right? So Sangsters with attitude, straight out of Rose Bay. I reckon Sangster watches the show. It's Sangster. If you're watching the replay, mate, give us a buzz in the DMs. Come on the show, mate. We'd love to have you. I reckon we'd be able to get Josh King to come on the show too if Sangster was a guest.
There's no way he's watching. But anyway, shout out Tommy. I love I'll give it the Leighton Hewitt. I think Leighton Hewitt.
It's the Kevin Smith Silent Bob.
It does. It's very Silent Bob, actually. It's with the hood, the zip hoodie there. That's awesome.
Anyway, shout out to Sangster. I know we take the piss out of him a bit, but he seems like a nice enough guy.
I reckon if anyone in the Supercoach community's like cop shit for the last few years more than anyone, it'll definitely be Sangster. So shout out Sangster.
Thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's it, mate.
All right, well, a bit of a quick one. I mean, it was still about an hour, but, we rolled through it, so apologies if you're looking for your big, Tuesday night marathon as usual, an hour and a half banger, but we didn't do it.
We might get Adro on next week, and then we'll have another long one.
Yeah, work's really picking up for me, which is a bit of a dog, but
same. I got people might have noticed the show notification was up pretty late tonight, and that's because when I got home from work, I fell asleep. So nearly didn't have the show.
Yeah, look, we'll do our best, and obviously we'll get some.
We're not simping for Sangster, Benny. We're like we've taken the piss out of him many times, especially Josh King. Josh King has said some very nasty stuff about Sangster in the past, so we're just trying to make sure there's no bad blood there.
Ados throws a bit of shade to feel those boys away as well, especially Rob Sutherland. So, yeah, Ados is good for a bit of banter for a few of those boys on that panel. But yeah, look, we'll do it all again next week. Good luck. If you've got any trades left, may the Supercoach or the trade gods be kind, as I like to say.
Show some balls, play with no breaks, use all your trades. Go for it.
Yeah, just fucking burn them and have no regrets, and then you got to spend the next 7 weeks just fucking hoping you don't get any more significant injuries.
Yep.
But yeah, good luck out there, all the boys that are doing well, which is most of the boys in the chat. I give it hard to Sangster, and he does. Yeah, all the best. He's obviously a far better place than Bogan and myself, but hope you all finish the year well, have a PB year for anyone that's still going pretty good, or even better, make a big dive into that top 100 and push for some cash or something, God forbid. But yeah, good luck. We'll do it all again next week, and thanks for joining us as always. You're all legends, and yeah, we'll catch you next week.
Rate, subscribe, share with your mum.
Yeah, eight away from 500. Are we fucking? We're going backwards, haven't
Yeah,
we? Did you say we're
we
going
went
backwards?
backwards. We're 10 away.
We might have to get like Taylor on the show again or something, just to try and pick up the thumbnail.
It was popular with Taylor, so
I must admit, we need to probably a bit more of a like they did it in league last few years with the women in league with the panels and stuff. We need a few more women in Supercoach, I reckon.
oh
So
well, I was saying they need to bring back the cheerleaders, mate. Then we could have one of those in the thumbnail every week.
yeah, yeah, we'll have to. Yeah. Anyway, I don't actually know any girls apart from Taylor. I think that play Supercoach. So
Oh,
that's
we got
probably out.
Leanne, the Fire and Ice.
Yeah, but we don't know her.
No,
We should get on the
I
show.
think Joshy knows her, but
We'll have to do some recruitment next season.
there we go. There's an episode in itself. The auditions. The BJ on Game Day casting couch coming in 2022.
Oh, King will be up for that. Don't worry about it. All right, Bogan. Cheers, mate. As always, you're a legend, and yeah, we'll see you all next week.
If I can.